Hi, I am making this video to let people know that I am an alien human hybrid. And I know that that sounds a little bit silly, but I just want you to bear with me and to listen to this story that I have. And to kind of let you know in a roundabout way or as directly as I can how I discovered this. All right, so I was in bed and I was in bed with my baby, who was a nursing baby at the time. And I generally, when I would have babies, I would end up sleeping beside the baby because there would be no father there. Well, this particular night, something woke me up, and it was a bright light. This bright light burst through the window in the room where we were sleeping. And there was no real reason for a light to be coming in through that window. It wasn't a window that was in front of a driveway. You wouldn't normally see lights from the street or from the road hitting that window. There were normally never lights hitting that window. I'm just going to say it like that. But that night, in the middle of the night, there was a bright, light blue light coming through the window. It was very bright. It was so bright that it lit up the whole room that was formerly dark. And there was something strange about the light, and it kind of reminded me of the movie Twilight, which is really dorky. But there were like these almost like sparkles in the air, like these weird little shimmery light sparkly things all through the blue light, through the room. And my first thought was like, this woke me up. I'm sure that it woke my baby up. I wonder if my baby's awake, And as I'm looking around, acknowledging what's happening to me, my first thoughts are that this is either the government or it's aliens. Either way, it's the government and or aliens, and they are blasting this light through my window. I looked down to see if my baby was awake, whether or not the light had woke my baby up. And he was wide awake and had been, I'm assuming he'd been like acknowledging what was going on with the same amount of time that I did. I'm assuming that the light woke us both up at the same time and that he woke up to this, mystery sparkly light and everything. So I looked down at him and his eyes are wide open, looking around at everything. Not really reactive, just checking it out. And under this light, and it wasn't an immediate change. It was almost like things waited until I was actually paying attention. But I looked down at my baby's face and I watched the color of his skin change. I watched the color of his skin change to this strange blue tone. And the skin itself became it was just so blue, and the contours of his eyes and the contours of his face changed. And I could see a complete difference in his eyes, a complete difference in his face. And what I saw was my own human baby almost shape-shift in front of me, but he wasn't shape-shifting. It wasn't that he was shape-shifting. It was that I was being shown the baby underneath a different light, underneath a new light. And it made it so that I had a new set of lenses in a way. Like It was almost like an additional light spectrum or color was added to the light spectrum that I'm already able to see, and it made it so that I could see my baby's true form. And I'm just going to say it like that, or one of his true forms, because this is my true form, but underneath that light, or underneath certain other lights, you might see my other true forms. Like his eyes came out, like you could see a darkness around the eyes, and with the cheeks that came in, like, and it defined the face in a different way. It made it almost a little bit of a longer face, almost a little bit of a sleeker, even more beautiful face. But the skin was very blue. You could tell that it wasn't just a matter of the light hitting the skin, but the skin itself, you could see that it changed color and that the contours changed. And I thought to myself, there are aliens, or the government, or them both working together, or whatever is going on here. Anyways, they are blasting a light through my window, and they are showing me that my baby is an alien. And that's all that I thought at the time. I thought, this is weird. It must be because of the kid's dad. At the time, I was wrong about who my child's father was. That would go on for nearly a decade, and then the truth would kind of come out, and I would find out that my baby was actually the result of a secret, incestuous instance that would have occurred while I was unaware. So I didn't know it at the time, but the baby wasn't the offspring of, this crazy dude who I thought that I'd had a kid by. I thought to myself, this kid's dad, he was like a Nephilim type dude. He was like he could have been related to these fallen angels. So I was like, there is the chance that the baby is going to be a freak show. You know what I mean? That's all that I thought. I didn't think to myself, like it might have crossed my mind for a second, but I didn't think that the baby was an alien because of me. I thought that the baby was an alien because of his dad. And I realized the seriousness, the serious nature of it all. I chose to keep it a secret from everyone as well as I could, because I was afraid that if people knew, that I would be putting the baby's life in danger. Unfortunately for me, the whole reason why the baby was conceived and brought about was to be part of a research project that has to deal with alien human hybrids. And the relative that I mentioned was actually paid to do that. And I've heard that they had to pay him a lot of money, and I do not know him. I know who it is, but we have never chilled before. And I wouldn't find that out from people in person who would have the graciousness to explain any of that to me in person. I would have to find out that information online, because a lot of people ended up knowing what happened and all these other atrocities. And there were a lot of people involved in the crimes that were committed against me, including that one. And so much crime has been committed and so many people are involved that they've actually been making YouTube videos about it for the last 2 years out here. I did have a dream before I would have my baby. While I was still pregnant with him, I had a dream that aliens came and visited me, but they weren't like the gray aliens that you see on TV or whatever, or they show us, they were these translucent aliens. You could see all of their organs and veins and everything through their skin. And they told me that my son's dad wasn't really Tim, which was, the guy that I thought was his dad from the whole conception of the kid. These aliens told me that Tim wasn't really my kid's dad, and that my kid's real dad was an alien. And they told me more than that, but I thought that was really bizarre, and it was so realistic. And honestly, I believed what they were telling me. And I woke up and I looked at Tim and I ended up telling him, like, I just had a dream where these aliens were telling me that you're not really my baby's dad. And he would kind of like act a little bit sketched out and funny and skirt and like leave for a little while and go try to bang out his lady dealer from Buchanan and stuff like that. Like, it kind of made him sketch out a little bit, because I'm pretty sure that he knew that he wasn't the dad, because he'd let that other dude do that. And that might seem like a little bit of personal, too much information, but it's really not. I really, really want people to understand how bizarre this situation is. First of all, that there's alien-human hybrids happening. And then secondly, that the government knows about it, and that they're doing things like having someone who is of the same DNA or the same genetic whatever impregnate secretly, certain women, and then those women show up at these hospitals giving birth. The hospitals don't let them know that there's weird paternity issues. The hospital doesn't let them know if the baby is a product of interbreeding, especially if it is, I guess, for these government research projects. There's literally no telling how many women out there have been secretly impregnated by people who they don't actually know, and that they've had babies by people who they don't actually know, potentially even relatives, for these weird secret government research projects. Another time, I would see a spacecraft come down from the sky over Taos and hover over me. It was this really long, cylindrical silver ship. It was massive. It came down and looked at me, and then it went right back out the way that it came in. There's a certain time of the night, every single night. I think it begins in the Southwest. It began at about 8 p.m. that you could go out and start looking at the sky and see certain kinds of activity. And it seems to be something that I can see all over the U.S. at a certain time of night. Go outside and you can actually watch these things fly through the air and disappear. And they almost look like planes or comets flying, but they're just all over the place and they disappear. If you guys really go outside and pay attention, you will see the anomalies. So basically, they know that aliens are real. Some of us are aliens. Some of us are alien hybrids. You could have children who are alien hybrids. When I looked down at my baby and I saw that he wasn't entirely human, just for a moment, I worried. I was like, am I raising something that is a monster or evil or whatever? Like, am I putting the future of humanity in danger by raising this baby up and stuff like that? And then it just, it hit me like, this is the same baby that it was before the light came through the window. Just because you saw another form of this baby, or that this baby is some kind of hybrid, doesn't mean that the baby doesn't still need its mommy. Like, it's still a baby, no matter what species it is, and this baby still needs a mommy, is what I told myself. And I was a really good mommy. in that way. And I really loved my little alien baby. Unfortunately, I've only been allowed to spend like 3 years of his life with him. And at this point, he's almost 10. And like, they just keep taking him away and stuff, just keep coming up with reasons to take him away and stuff. And I guess that it's that they've been secretly trying to send him to his real dad, the guy who I don't know. And they're going to try to raise him up as one of the bad guys. So anyways, I got into a little bit of the personal parts about it, but I just want you guys to know how real it is. It's very, very real. I also have some attributes, some features that, and some abilities that might not be entirely human. And it seems that there are potentially several different extraterrestrial species of hybrid humans all over the world. There's been interbreeding and interspecies breeding in both in all different humanoid species or whatever, and all throughout different timelines and time frames. So what we have right now is the species of humans that are made up of, I guess, people from all different solar systems and galaxies, and it is something that could be really exciting. Unfortunately, our government is using all of that to have people SA'd. It's a pretty big deal that government agents or agencies or Freemasons or any of them would have me SA'd like they did, especially an incestuous SA, and that you guys would basically forcibly inbreed. You guys are forcibly interbreeding babies. That's really bad. And then, like, what research has been done has basically all been in secret, and they've done it while they kept us under these really high-stress, terrible environments and separated us out and everything. And I'm told that we were sold, that our organs were already sold and divided up, and people have just been waiting for me to be taken out by traffickers and by all these other people out here so that my body can go to be dissected and my organs and brain sold. Then they would, after they get rid of me, basically, they would then be able to take the offspring that I've had and organ harvest and study from all of them. These were their plans. So basically, I'm just letting you know that you have a very masculine-run government. They're not very diplomatic whenever it comes to interspecies or space relations. They seem to be a little bit obsessed with how they can do SA type things, and how they can do like illegal experiment type things, and how they can organ harvest and all these other just atrocious, heinous things and activities that they're just so obsessed with, rather than it doesn't seem, like I said, that they have any diplomatic skill. They're not interested in making it a public thing. They're keeping it as hush-hush as they can so that they can do these nasty, controlled, abusive things to us. It really is sad. It makes the science world, it makes the it makes the government, it makes the science world, it makes the space exploration world, it makes everybody look like shit all at once. It makes you guys all look like dog shit all at the same time. It makes Hubble look like dog shit. You make NASA look like dog shit. Just the fact that so many of us, that our lives are in danger and that our families are going to be broken, that our families are broken up, and that we're just supposed to be picked off and eliminated, and there's no telling how many people that they've actually done this to and for how long that they've been doing this. But apparently whenever they were shoving those COVID things up our noses, which I mean, we were told when we were children not to put things in our noses and not to allow other people to put things in our noses. So it was kind of my mistake for letting you guys do that. But apparently those swabs that they were shoving up our faces were actually DNA swabs. And one of the things that they were looking for at the time were people who have extraterrestrial DNA. Apparently it didn't really have that much to do with any real sicknesses or ailments, and the whole thing was very potentially all just made up so that this mass hysteria could happen, and that nearly everybody that they could get their hands on would get these genetic swabs done. Because I don't think that people were signing up for the Ancestry and MyHeritage and all that as fast as people wanted them to. I don't think that people could afford the genealogy. Not everybody could. They couldn't get everybody as interested as quickly as they would have liked, I don't feel. So there's definitely been some genetic breakthroughs and some understandings throughout the science community that aren't being made public. They're not being publicized, and it's to our detriment. It's to the detriment of the civilians. It is a really sad state of affairs. In my current situation, I really miss my kid. I wouldn't be coming out saying anything about it, but all of a sudden now in the year 2025, it's suddenly like okay on certain platforms and through certain avenues to be discussing the this phenomenon of alien human hybrids. And I just wanted you guys to know that it is very real. When I found out that I was an alien human hybrid, it was basically through YouTubers. And it made a lot of sense. It really did. I've basically told you everything that I can without making things too complicated and without changing the very subject matter that I began with, which is just me wanting to let you guys know, like, human hybrids are real. They might just look like this. I am around the age of 40. I guess I'm just going to end it there. I would go on and tell you more about myself, but I'll do that in some other way, some other time. But this is the best that I could do to try to tell you guys that alien human hybrids are real. I don't really know how else to tell you. I can tell you that the child that I had is the most psychic kid that I've ever met in my whole life. He's the most psychic person I've ever met in my life. I can understand that and why people would want to research him. I do not agree with the methods that you guys have been using that are quite detrimental, that you mean in every way to be a part of your nasty little MK Ultra project. No one has taken my son into consideration. No one, they basically treat all of us like we don't have human rights. They treat him like he doesn't have human rights. He doesn't have rights and I don't have rights. And, they took him It's been 2 years now, but this is mainly just a video to express to you guys that alien human hybrids are real, and that they are using Child Protective Services to remove those kids. And those kids are being, some of them are being organ harvested off of, some of them are being exploited. There's lots of really terrible things that have gone on. At the same time that you guys have this MK Ultra project bullshit, you guys have this, hybrid project that's going on, and everybody's real hush hush and secretive about it. But I really love my baby. I was a loving mom. I'm a real person. My baby's a real person. I don't appreciate you guys doing this to us. It's really sick. Things are obviously run by really sick men who need to be replaced. These really sick men and women in the science community and the political communities. It's really disgusting that you guys would allow this. The Child Protective Service community, the family court community, and social workers community, those are sick, sick people. They are human trafficking. It's human trafficking at its worst. You might see a lot of articles about how CPS didn't show up to save kids. Those are articles that they literally just make to try to make it seem like we need Child Protective Services, but we do not. I've seen police officers go in and rescue kids from households, and they did a better job than CPS workers. I'm not asking the cops to be babysitters, but if you're taking a child from an abusive and neglectful household, then I would assume that that parent would need to be charged somehow, and that you would need to be able to prove those things as a crime. But they don't do that when they use CPS. They don't do any of that. No, CPS will take a child from a parent who isn't even committing a crime, and they'll take them away forever. So it is, the reason why this shit isn't being made public, excuse the French, the reason why it's not being made public for you guys is because of all of the abuses that people want to get into with it, all the ways that they can figure out how to abuse, the ways that they can figure out how to make money off of it, everything that all the information that they can get before the public gets it, so they can decide what they want you to know and what they don't want you to know. And that's not okay. We're all in this together. America is full of tax-paying people. You guys pay a lot of money in taxes. You guys pay, believe it or not, I don't know if you realize it or not, but you pay a lot of money to be an American citizen, even the ones who were born here. You're paying a lot of money into a government who isn't treating all of your civilians well. They're not being treated all the same at all. There's no reason why I or my baby needed to be treated worse than everybody else. And we most certainly have, in drastic ways, in historically drastic ways, have we been treated quite poorly and with great disrespect. Alien hybrids are real. I am one. Extraterrestrials are real. Demons and angels are real too. You know what I mean? I can't tell you about mermaids. I've never seen a mermaid before. I'm pretty sure fairies are real too. I have a fairy story too, just one. I didn't physically see them. Anyways, there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there that it's difficult for you to comprehend because you were brought up in a world where you were taught that none of that stuff was real and that none of those things were real and that doesn't really happen and that this is all that there is. And there's a reason why you were brought up conditioned like that. Maybe they really don't want you to know. Maybe you're one of them. You yourself could be an alien human hybrid. You know, you could potentially, part of you could descend from, you know, a star network out there, and you could be very biologically different and psychologically different and spiritually different from everyone you know around you. You are anyways, whether you're a hybrid or not. We could be very way more thoughtful as a society. We could be so much more thoughtful and so much more mindful of each other. We could all be learning this together. None of it has to be a secret. And really, the only reason why it's being kept a secret is because of people's sick, twisted fantasies and plans. And we don't have to put up with that anymore. All right. Thank you. Thank you for listening this long. And I am going to continue to try to make videos. I'm sorry that it's low quality. I really am a lifelong slave of this MK Ultra project and other projects. They say that I'm not supposed to be here anymore, but because I am, I really would like to get this information out to the public. I know that the way that I'm presenting it is a little bit ghetto and maybe even unbelievable, but I hope that you can look at my face and see how serious I am and see that I'm not making this up, that it's not a hoax. I wouldn't even let you see my face if that's part of the reason why I'm letting you see my face and I'm all ghettoed out in front of you and letting you see me so that you can see that I'm serious, so that you can actually judge what I'm saying for yourselves. Because I know that you have the ability to look at a situation and judge it properly. That you don't need other people to tell you how to judge things or not to judge things. You don't need them to keep things a secret from you. And though we have all kept this a secret from you up until now, I no longer want to be secretive about this. So alien-human hybrids are real. Aliens are real. The government does try to keep it on the down low from you. Thank you, and God bless.